unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Were you surprised at how good Ruiz's skill set was?
He ain't that skillful. He's a good fighter.
He beat you?
Yeah, by a lucky punch. By a punch that was sent by the gods.
Anthony Joshua says that Andy Ruiz is not that skillful a fighter, and he landed a lucky punch, which cost Joshua the fight and gave Andy Ruiz the win. Aye, aye, aye. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego in the back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, I don't really know what's gotten into Anthony Joshua. He seems to have emerged from the cave or dwellings he was in, and he's been doing a lot of interviews. You know, not with, you know, he's just doing it with certain people. We'll say like that, like Sky Sports and whatever. And he's resurfaced and he's saying a lot of stuff like, you know, this is the reason I lost. He has an interview talking about the reason he lost and, you know, kind of making excuses, saying he wasn't really motivated by Andy Ruiz. He didn't have any animosity towards Andy Ruiz, so the fire wasn't burnt. But now that he lost, he's coming for it, and he wants to be the two-time heavyweight champion. He's not really worried about being undisputed and Wilder, things that were a heavy burden and a heavy crown to hold prior to it. He says that basically losing, you know, people have said to him to retire, and maybe he should retire, but it's ridiculous because he's going to be a two-time champion, and people could believe what they want. He also said Andy Ruiz has, like, summons the beast, awoken the sleeping giant, if you will. Now he said some really crazy stuff to Sky Sports. He has an exclusive interview with him, and they said something like, oh, Andy Ruiz is a good fighter. He's a very skillful fighter. And Joshua replied, he ain't that skillful. And he says that Andy Ruiz merely beat him by a lucky punch that was sent by the gods. Now, this is supposed to be some tell-all Sky Sports interview, sit-down exclusive. He also called Lennox Lewis a clown, you know, didn't really explain. You know, people keep throwing this notion that Lennox Lewis has been so hard on Joshua and, you know, he has some grudge or he's jealous, you know, just bullshit. Because I follow boxing, I cover boxing, as you guys know, on my channel, and I've seen what Lennox Lewis has said. And Lennox Lewis has said a lot of stuff that I, for one, actually really agree with. I think Joshua's side was the holdup for the Deontay Wilder fight not happening. And I think most people know that now. With, you see Andy Ruiz, they're trying to, Joshua's team set the stage and said they're willing to fight him in Mexico. You know, Andy Ruiz's uncle could be the ref. He said he'll fight him in New York again, go back to the scene of the crime. He said he would love it in the UK at Principality Stadium. So where does Saudi Arabia come from? You know what I'm saying? Money grab. Not consistent. This is what we're getting from Team Joshua, Eddie Hearn, and Anthony Joshua. Inconsistent statements that don't hold up. You're constantly switching, constantly. Listen, just do your own research. Andy Ruiz, since the first fight, they've asked him, where do you want this fight? He said he didn't want to go to the UK. At one point they said, what about the UK? He said they're going to have to pay me $50 million. And we know they're not going to pay that much for a fight in the UK because, you know, that would cost all the, you know, that'd just be too much for one fighter's purse, right? For a fight over there. It wouldn't generate enough. But he's predominantly said in multiple interviews, Mexico or the USA, Mexico or USA. It was Joshua who wanted to sound bold and brazen and stuff, who said, oh, I'll go back to the scene of the crime in New York. That's where I wanted to set it right, where it happened, where it went wrong. And Eddie Hearn criticized that and said, oh, Joshua is crazy. He did interviews right after that. And now we see they must have had a team meeting or something, because now that whole New York seems out of the question. Ruiz team, they said they're ready to go, but they don't prefer the location, and they're trying to renegotiate the purse terms. And if you're willing to fight in Mexico or New York, that would ease and solve and resolve one of the issues. So we know Joshua's team has just put stuff out in the media. Now, Joshua, it's very disappointing when I hear a boxer talk like this, because this reminds me of a casual boxing fan. And you guys know the casual fans that we're talking about, like the old media, just casual fans that they might know who's fighting, but they really don't know the sweet science. They don't know the sport, nor do they respect it. And Joshua's comments about this lucky punch sound ridiculous. He's insisting that Andy Ruiz is not skillful, but this is also the guy that put you on your ass 4 times. He's insisting that he had a lucky punch, but it was punches that put him on the canvas 4 times and TKO'd him. So how is it a lucky punch when it was a succession of punches, sets, combinations, multiple punches that continually inflicted harm upon Anthony Joshua and, hurt him throughout the fight? I guess he's trying to say the temple shot was what debilitated him and it was a lucky spot, but I don't believe in this. This whole lucky shit is bullshit in the world of boxing. Here's why. These fighters, most of them, train since they're kids. They were bullied in the streets or they're in gangs or whatever, got them into boxing, their parents, their dad, whatever, right? They've been training since they were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, in a lot of cases. I know Andy Ruiz, for example. So they train their whole life for these moments, for these tournaments, for the silver gloves, golden gloves, maybe the Olympics, to turn pro. Andy Ruiz is a veteran. He's been through different promoters. He was once a part of the Top Rank imprint, and now he's with Al Heyman's PBC. He fought for a title and came up short. I thought he won that fight with Joseph Parker. That's a mutual opponent they both have. And I thought he won that fight. But either way, he went to New Zealand, so he traveled, he went abroad and came up short, didn't do enough, and had to deal with that. Had to learn from that L that was on his record. Whether you thought he won or lost, they didn't give it to him. A promotional contract that didn't work out. His coach, Manny Robles, has said that Andy Ruiz was nearly homeless at a point in time and downtrodden and out on his luck. He just things weren't going well for him. And he was considering giving up boxing, but he stuck with it. So I don't believe in this Joshua theory and the casual theory of lucky punches. So all that angst, all that training, all that, years of sacrifice. Andy Ruiz, his weight has fluctuated. He used to see a lot of people, they keep body shaming him and they don't understand he used to be bigger than this. He used to look more like portly or whatever you want to call it, right? And then he slimmed down, So people don't understand that this is years in the making. You think he just went and fought Joseph Parker in New Zealand and learned nothing from it? So I don't believe in just it's a stroke of luck. The lottery is a stroke of luck. You just happen to pick the numbers and, those are the numbers that come out. But when someone has trained their whole life for something, Joshua sounds ridiculous to insist that Andy Ruiz did what he did based on a lucky punch. Again, especially since it was combination punches, and Andy Ruiz has trained his whole life for these moments, and he already fought for a title, so he had experience. He fought in the amateurs. He fought when he was 21. He was sparring with Evander Holyfield, an Olympian, all-time Hall of Fame cruiserweight and heavyweight, who beat Mike Tyson, fought Lennox Lewis, fought James Toney, right? Fought George Foreman. And Ruiz is 21 sparring him. So, Joshua sounds ridiculous. He sounds salty. And I have to pick Andy Ruiz. When I hear fighters say stuff like that, I have to pick Andy Ruiz. Joshua, with his recent interviews, he sounds extremely unstable. He sounds like he's throwing things out there, but I can't see how he would even possibly believe the gibberish that is coming out of his mouth regarding some of these things. Like, it was a lucky punch. So you got dropped 4 times by a lucky punch. you know. And it's funny because when Joshua, he was the one that drew first blood. You knocked Andy Ruiz down before he hurt you. So that wasn't a lucky punch, the uppercut and hook that you sent him on the canvas with. That was just, you know, that was perfectly planned and strategic. But then when Andy Ruiz lands shots and stops you, you say it's a lucky punch sent from the gods, you know? And it's just for me, it's too many excuses that I'm hearing from Anthony Joshua. This is a bad look, in my opinion. He already went at a legend in Lennox Lewis, which didn't need to happen, and made it like Lennox Lewis was bad-mouthing him. Meanwhile, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and Dillian White, Gerald Miller, they've all done much worse, said much worse. You know, Wilder called you out. Wilder called you a chicken. He called you a coward. Tyson Fury's cussing at you, calling you a dosser and shithouse. Gerald Miller, Dillian White have both accused you of being on the juice and twos and testosterone, you know, exemptions and, you know, basically cheating the system. And you choose to attack Lennox Lewis. Now you're saying it's a lucky punch. And, you know, I told you, I called it like I seen it. I told you Joshua's behavior, I wasn't convinced. Immediately after the fight, they were saying, oh, Joshua, look, he's a true champion. Look how he's accepting the loss so gracefully. So how is that graceful accepting the loss now? It doesn't sound so graceful, right? You know, you're now saying he's not that skillful and he hit you with a lucky punch sent from the gods. You know, what happened so to me, Joshua's whole demeanor, the way he's went about this, seems extremely fake and fraudulent. Because, again, he was supposed to be this gracious loser, and he was like, oh, no, it's Andy's night. You know, Andy, he did his thing, and, you know, they were saying that. Now I already knew this. I already speculated, but now I really believe they were just saying this because of the Joey DeVecco and the dad attacked Eddie Hearn and all these different things that were surrounding, these rumors that were surrounding why Joshua could have lost and how he lost. And what transpired. Did he come into the fight with a concussion? Did he have a nervous breakdown? Did he have a panic and anxiety attack? All these things surfaced immediately after the fight because Joshua, he looked shook walking out, and, you know, it was obviously a career worst performance. And they try to make Joshua look like this hero of sorts. Like he's just able to accept the loss so much better and, you know, not be salty and just give props. And people are like, oh, man, look he's embracing the loss. You got to give him credit. But now we see that was fake, because why is he now saying these falsehoods about Andy Ruiz now, 2-3 months later? You know, June 1st and June 2nd, you were a gracious loser. You know, you lost the fight and you were like smiling and popping wheelies in New York and playing basketball and acting like you were unbothered by the loss. But now the truth is coming out, you know. 8-9 weeks later, the truth is coming out, and we're seeing Joshua there's more than meets the eye, you know. And I just don't understand why he would do that. Just give the man his props, come back in the rematch. That's all you got to do, you know. That's all you have to do. Like Sergey Kovalev, he didn't say that it was a lucky punch. He just kind of went back with the Eleider Alvarez fight and lost, and, you know, said, I know I could beat this guy. Nobody has a problem with that. But what Joshua's doing, it makes him sound like really a casual fan. And I think it's a bad look to berate and undermine Andy Ruiz's skill level and what he's dedicated his life to by suggesting it was just some lucky punch. And I hate when people do that. You know, people do it like when Juan Manuel Marquez knocked out Pacquiao. Oh, it's just a lucky punch in the fourth fight. You know, when Danny Garcia knocked out Amir Khan, Danny Garcia was trying to throw that left hook or the punch throughout the fight. He just wasn't landing it. Amir Khan was in it, just in and out, and he couldn't time it right. But then he got his timing in the third round, and it was murder, she wrote. So, you know, it's just disrespectful. This whole little interview calling Lennox Lewis a clown, saying Andy Ruiz is not skillful. And it's a bad look because, once again, Joshua's character comes in and his integrity comes into question because it looks like he's perpetrating. He'll put out one image and then weeks later we see a totally different image. You know, he was this humble loser and just willing to go back to the training and give Andy Ruiz, oh yeah, it was just Andy's night. You know, Andy did his thing. And then now he's saying Andy's not skillful. You know, Andy landed a lucky punch. Again, even in the Danny Garcia, Amir Khan, or Marquez versus Pacquiao scenarios, a lot of what happened, especially in the Marquez fight, that was like a singular punch, right? That was like a singular punch that knocked Pacquiao out. Joshua was getting hurt with multiple punches. He got dropped 2 times in round 3. I had Joshua losing every round. His best round was his 3rd round, but then you have to immediately take it away from him because Ruiz got an additional knockdown, you know, which bumped him over. Otherwise, it would have been kind of a neutral round if they only got one knockdown apiece, you know. But yeah, this is a bad look. And again, when someone's all over the board like this, I can't trust their actions or what they're saying, or I can't feel that they believe it. Because if you believe what you're saying and you're truly confident that Ruiz sucks and he's not skillful and it was a lucky punch, then 1, you don't even have to say it. Just go back in the rematch and then handle business. 2, you know, it's just like you're kind of building yourself up. Like you're trying to convince yourself of this as you say it, or maybe like get a reaction out of Andy Ruiz. But realistically, I look at it as like Joshua, he's putting additional pressure. It's actually could have a reverse effect. If he does not go out there and destroy Andy Ruiz and set this straight, then this is gonna come back to haunt him, because he's calling you a robot, and you got to take things into consideration. Ruiz had 5 weeks to train, and he took the fight and did all that to you. So now he has a full 16-week camp before the alleged fight date, which hasn't been confirmed by Ruiz's side. But, you know, he has about 15 to 17 weeks before the actual fight week. And this is going to come back to haunt Joshua immensely if he don't go in there and handle business and beat Ruiz. And to me, it's at a point with all the stuff Joshua's, I'm bringing the beast, and, you know, he's hit me with the lucky punch sent from the guy, all these types of things. Now Joshua has to go there and win similar to how Ruiz won, in a destructive fashion. He can't just like try to box and move on the back foot and, you know, jab his way to the finish line. He's going to have to put in work the way he's talking, saying Lennox Lewis, an undisputed Hall of Fame, arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time, you know, definitely one of them, saying he's a clown. You know, Joshua's just putting more pressure on himself. So I can't wait to see how this unfolds and we unpack. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We unpack, coming to you live. But I think what Joshua's doing is wrong. If you're new, consider subscribing. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.